The year is 1944. War rages in Europe and in the Pacific. Here at home, radio is king and the source of information and entertainment throughout America. In Kearney, Nebraska, young Johnny Mitchell, college student, lands a part-time job at the local radio station, KGFW.
They needed a staff member at KGFW Kearney. So I was offered a part-time job, and because it was a lucrative position at 18 cents an hour, I grabbed it.
A familiar voice in the community since the 20s, KGFW is owned by Lloyd Skipper Thomas, a past president of the Mutual Broadcast Network and one of radio's early pioneers. An early associate of John's, Floyd Kalber, has this reflection.
And now what is it we're going to do? Well, we're going to make a videotape. Congratulations for a guy who is getting the Nebraska Broadcasters Hall of Fame Award. And who is he? Johnny Mitchell. Do I know him? Oh, yeah. He's the little guy. He was a standby announcer, a part-time announcer in Kearney when I went out there to start the radio business in 1946. Johnny Mitchell. Is he still around?
John works at KGFW for 4 years. In the fall of 1948, he's accepted to Georgetown University Law School in Washington, D.C., and leaves Kearney for the nation's capital. (1953). John Mitchell is back in his hometown practicing law and struggling to earn a living. To make ends meet, John occasionally fills in at KGFW, and one day he hears that the station is for sale.
And I was told by the secretary it was up for sale, and if I had an interest, and I said with what I was living off of being fees from being a justice of the peace, and she said, "We'll figure it out." So some way with my mother and my brother and some friends, they all put in a few dollars, and I only put the sweat in and no money, and that was our first station in 1953.
John goes to work, and he will need to, because almost immediately an obstacle to success looms large, an obstacle he will encounter time and time again throughout his radio career: competition.
We were only 250 watts at KGFW at that time. They filed with a 5,000 watt station. So that was really rough, tough. I mean, I'd get up at 5:30 in the morning and not know how payroll was going to get met, and hasn't changed too much anyway over the years. But it was difficult getting salespeople, competing against that station, and we competed maybe for 7-8 years, and they finally filed bankruptcy.
The 50s are difficult years in the radio business, but John Mitchell is familiar with adversity. When John was but a boy of 8 years, his father died and left John's mother alone to raise a large family. John Mitchell was the last of 5 children born to Charles and Athena Mitchell, hard-working natives of Greece, who had come to America to seek a better life. By the early 60s, KGFW has turned the corner. The station is making money, but the town of Kearney will not be large enough for the ambitions of this small-town boy. John gets involved with the Democratic Party and politics, donating much time and energy. He moves to the city, Omaha, and with a partner starts an advertising agency. He also begins making plans for his next move in radio.
Johnny Mitchell. You know, he's the guy who reported on the air about the iwis, the ewes, male sheep. All of the ranchers and the farmers out in central Nebraska used to love Johnny Mitchell because he went on the air and he talked about the iwis, and he made them laugh. You walk down the streets of Kearney and the kids say, "Hey, Pa," point over there, "there's the guy that talked about the iwis."
1973. FM radio is on the rise. Opportunity is knocking for someone who can hear the call, and John Mitchell responds. He buys a bankrupt FM in Council Bluffs, a town across the river from Omaha. it's not much of an operation.
That was KRCB AM and FM. It was at 546 Minster Street, and it was in a little house next to the church. And on the top floor was an apartment where the tenants liked to smoke a little pot. And it was an AOR station when we bought it, album-oriented rock. And the pot and the rock all seemed to go together.
Within 30 days, the station has a new name, KQKQ. Album-oriented rock soon builds KQKQ into a ratings winner. But John Mitchell soon learns that to last in the radio business, you have to be more than just a sharp entrepreneur who can spot market opportunity. In 1981, a new AOR station goes on the air and into direct competition with KQKQ. What he did next marks the beginning of the second half of our story.
He's a lawyer? Really? Johnny Mitchell, he always did know where the money was. He's in politics too? You're kidding me. Law and the politics? That's two great scams. He's also in broadcasting. He's still in he owns stations, 8 of them? Oh, that's 3 great scams. Broadcasting, the law, and politics.
The 80s. Times they are a-changin'. KQKQ drops album-oriented rock, and Mitchell Broadcasting takes a calculated gamble. They switch the station to contemporary hit radio and give it the name Sweet 98. It's a gamble that pays off.
It's today's best music. Sweet 98. It's on my alarm clock all day, any day.
At this point in his life, John Mitchell can look back on many professional and personal achievements. But John Mitchell still has ambitions. Following a long search and much wrangling with the FCC, he gets a license for an AM station at 1180 on the dial. All News 1180 is born. In the beginning, it broadcast 24 hours of news on a 20-minute wheel and is housed in Mitchell Broadcasting's new state-of-the-art broadcast facilities located in downtown Omaha. The building houses both KKAR and KQKQ. Announcers work in a wide-open space that allows the public to see them through large windows facing the streets of downtown Omaha. KKAR becomes established in its niche. But the AM radio audience generally continues to erode. Then came a fateful phone call.
We had a consultant from California who suggested to us that we look at a new guy by the name of Rush Limbaugh.
Well.
KKAR becomes the 37th station in the country to carry Limbaugh's broadcasts. Meanwhile, the Mitchell Station Group purchases KODY and KXNP in North Platte, further expanding the station group and giving Mitchell uninterrupted coverage of the state from east to west.
I'm broke, but I'm happy.
It's the 90s. Radio is alive and well, thank you. John Mitchell, the kid from Kearney, who got his start reading farm news, is the owner and operator of 7 radio stations. But he's far from done. The company acquires an FM license at 101.9. But launching a station in the 90s is riskier than ever. Stations crowd the airwaves. Success hinges on choosing a format right for the times.
Thank you for listening to 101.9 The Edge.
The Edge is immediately successful. The man who started with Your Hit Parade hasn't lost his touch almost 40 years later.
Johnny, what do you say, Johnny Mitchell, after you say that? Well, you say, congratulations, Johnny, Hall of Fame recipient, even though it took you 24 years longer than it did me. Quite seriously. You say congratulations to a nice guy, a guy who has spent 50 years off and on in broadcasting, showing him how it's done, obviously doing it right and doing it well, providing jobs and paychecks for a lot of folks, and doing pretty well for himself, too. Johnny, you may not know it, You helped me a lot in Kearney. You answered questions honestly, you gave me pointers and suggestions, and you let me work with you on the games. I always felt great about our association and our friendship. And all this tonight couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Good for you, my friend. Good for you.
John Mitchell has led an extraordinary life. His achievements embody the American dream. In the pantheon of Nebraska radio broadcasters who have made great contributions to the growth and vitality of the medium, his star shines brightly indeed. One longtime friend and business associate is Harry Pappas.
Surely anyone who knows John Mitchell knows that he's a true broadcaster, someone who truly believes in wearing the hat of public servant and caring for his audiences just as well and comfortably as he wears the hat of a businessman concerned about building his businesses into the best they can be. On this 25th anniversary of the Hall of Fame Awards by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association, it's hard for me to think of someone who could more fittingly be chosen for the Hall of Fame Award and to be inducted than John Mitchell, a true broadcaster, a true American, a true winner, a true good friend, a true good husband, a true good father, a model that many of us could emulate, and if we could emulate even his sense of humor, how happy we all could be. John, from the bottom of my heart, I congratulate you, and I wish you the very best and joy in the years ahead with Mary in enjoying the rewards that are justly yours.
The Nebraska Broadcasters Association is both pleased and proud to induct John Mitchell into its Hall of Fame.